Well, well, well. Just when you think it could not get worse, probably should have expected it to get worse. Yeah, damn. So if you guys did not see the news yesterday, it involves motorsport games. And I told you guys this in a few videos recently. I was like, guys, why is motorsport games so quiet? It's like nothing's been going on for the last month. I've just heard nothing from anything going on in there. And well, now we know why. There have been some developments. There was an earnings call yesterday, the Q4 2022 earnings call. And there have been some developments and not good ones, which is not a surprise. I don't think I've heard good news for motorsport games. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been a very long. So anytime I hear something, I'm usually expecting bad news. But this one is definitely really, really frustrating. And we will get into it. We'll read some of the articles about what is going on. I want to give a shout out to all the Patreon members, as always, for supporting the channel. Thank you, as always, for supporting. It looks like we're going to be going even longer without new games, new content in the racing genre. So, yeah. Definitely thank you for supporting, because I'm going to need it if, again, there is no new... Well... Yeah, no. If there's no new game, racing game for motorsport games in the year 2023, and that is the news, is that we were expecting, and I even told you guys, I was 98, 95, somewhere on there, like 99.2% certain NASCAR 23 was not going to happen in the year 2023, but I'll admit, I had no doubts or even thoughts that INDYCAR wouldn't come out in 2023. I thought that was pretty clear that INDYCAR would come out in 2023, but no. According to the earnings call, INDYCAR looks like it is going to be delayed. And not just the earnings call, but even Traction, GG, the website, even them, and that website is, that company is technically owned by Motorsport Games, or motorsport.com. So when that site publishes the news basically that INDYCAR is going to be delayed till 2024, that's how you know it's definitely going to be delayed until 2024, which means no new games for 2 years in a row. And the last, or the only essentially game that Motorsport Games has made is NASCAR 21 Ignition. I do not count NASCAR Rivals because that is just a Switch port of NASCAR Heat 5 into the Nintendo Switch. Over the course of the time that Motorsport Games has had the licensing, exclusive licensing, which we will talk about in this video, over the course of that time, however long it's been, over 3 years now, I think, closer to 4 years, Motorsport Games has released one game, which was an abomination and a failure, and by the end of 2023, which would have been basically, I think, 4 years into Motorsport Games, it would have been the only game that has released for them. And they have licensing agreements for BTCC, for Le Mans, for NASCAR, for INDYCAR, and possibly even more down the line. But, yeah, definitely not ideal. And here's the article from Traction. The INDYCAR game is delayed until 2024. Motorsport Games has moved to clarify the upcoming INDYCAR game's development, stating on an earnings call that while it's currently functional, it's been pushed back to meet expectations. And we'll talk about that line, meet expectations, after we read the entire article, because I want to go through the whole article, before we kind of really deep dive into it. And this is not from the INDYCAR game. I think there's a little quote down. This one is, but there's a quote down here somewhere. Featured top image is from R Factor 2, not the INDYCAR game. So that's not a new screenshot from the INDYCAR game at all. But fledgling, and fledgling is the right word. Driving video game developer Motorsport Games says now that's official. INDYCAR game has been pushed back to 2024. Originally announced in July of 2021, the first dedicated PC and console game of the American Open Wheel Championship since Codemasters IndyCar Series 2005 was slated for a 2023 release. That's crazy that it's been basically 2 years since it was announced. And here we are in middle, we're not middle yet, but we're coming up to the middle of 2023 where it should have been out by now, and nothing. For our INDYCAR game, we continue to make strides in our development efforts, said Motorsport Games CEO Dimitri Kozko during the presentation, but we do not believe we will be in a satisfactory position to release it to the community this year. The IndyCar community has not had a dedicated game in over a decade, and we want to make sure that our IndyCar game is on par with other major racing games out there with enough features to keep IndyCar and other fans excited. Further context to the decision behind the delay was provided later in the call by the company, which also has licenses for NASCAR 24-Hour Le Mans and British Touring Car Championship games. I think one point that we really want to make clear that we touched on in our call is that we really took a step back and took a serious look at the quality of products we deliver, especially when it comes to an IndyCar product. We want to make sure that the standard that the IndyCar community is looking for in their product is surpassed, which we want to make sure we exceed their expectations. Let's continue on. It follows the torturous launch of the ill-fated NASCAR 21 Ignition. I'm so tired of saying NASCAR 21 Ignition, by the way. I don't even want to say the word ignition anymore ever again in my life, which melded existing physics with the Unreal Engine but resulted in an unfortunate string of technical errors and glitches. Motorsport Games has since announced that they will not make further games based on its technology base and instead enlisted the Kartcraft development team to create IndyCar wholly in Unreal. Our track record with Ignition doesn't show that capability so far. So we essentially have to take an even higher standard to ourselves and make sure that we do release that game. It starts a proper momentum. So for us, it's an investment in the long run of making a decision, even though we are seeing the game in a proper stage right now. There are moving cars, there are tracks, there are certain elements that are supposed to be in the game, but we just do not believe that it's up to par for what the community will expect. We understand that taking extra time and extra investment will ultimately in the long run pay off for us. All that's nice. But then this is where it gets, this is where you can't believe it, because at the end of the day, money talks, right? And it's very simple, guys. For the fourth quarter of the 2022 financial year, Motorsport Games revenue was $3.8 million, a 54% fall year on year. Gross profit was $2.3 compared to the $3.3 for the same period in the prior year, because again, they didn't release anything, so of course it's going to be less. A decrease of $1 million, while gross profit margin improved from 60.6% from 40.5%. It still recorded a net loss of $4.8 million compared to a net loss of $7 million 12 months earlier. Still burning through money. This year, we plan to bring 2023 season update. Okay, well, hold off on that for a second. We'll get to that in a second because I want to talk about this part. Here's the problem, and I'm pretty sure they know this. No matter what they say, until they release a product that is up to a standard that is expected from, a developer, there's just going to be doubt. And it's not just this game, and it's not just even NASCAR 21 Ignition. Because it's a public company, and you see and hear that the company is just burning through money, and then it gets investors, and then it burns through more money, and then it gets more investors, and then people leave, and then a bunch of people leave, and then a bunch of people get hired on, and then, again, you're burning through more money. And even on earnings calls, you always hear that, we don't have enough maybe to be able to continue. And there was, I don't know if it's in this article, if there is, I don't see it. There's on Twitter, you guys could look at it on Twitter. There is quotes from Dmitry Kozko basically saying like, as if we don't find additional funding, which they just got more funding from right here, securing an $11.32 million in funding through the sale of new shares. They just got that funding. They would need even more funding to carry on through the end of the year. So here's the issue. You delay the game over and over and over, or you just don't release games, in 2022 and in 2023. There comes a point where there's no more money and the game will not be made. It's just that simple. So that's where the doubt and the skepticism comes in. Another thing. And this, in my opinion, is my biggest issue now. Because the last 2 months, I wasn't even thinking about motorsport games. I was like, the IndyCar game will come out sometime. NASCAR will not come out. And even this news makes me think NASCAR doesn't even come out till 2025, honestly. And to be honest, I don't even know that game is ever coming out, to be fair. So, if my beliefs are true that, IndyCar is 2024, will it come out in 2024? I don't know. Remember last year when NASCAR 22 got delayed into 2023? I'm pretty sure we weren't expecting 2023 to be then delayed into 2024. So it just goes back every year with no new games being made. And the problem is no one else can make the games. That's my biggest issue. So if this is going to be the case for motorsport games, fine. If they need 2, 3, 4 years to make the games that they need to make, fine. I'm okay with that. Don't hold on to the license. This is where I'm getting frustrated because 2021, crap NASCAR game. 2022, no NASCAR game. 2023, no NASCAR game. 2024, likely, no NASCAR game. That's ridiculous. Well, meanwhile, golf is getting 2 games from 2K and EA. Literally, 2K is making their golf game, and EA is making their golf game because there's not exclusive license. Now, there's exclusive licensing within the games, like major championships and exclusive licensing of Tiger Woods and stuff like that. But 2K and EA are making a golf game. If Motorsport Games cannot release games, and I don't know what's going on in the contracts, is I thought that with Motorsport Games signing with NASCAR until 2029, they would have to release a product every single year. If they're not going to do that, you can continue making games. I don't have an issue with that. Let other people make games. Let someone else, an indie developer for all I care, make a simulation NASCAR game or a simulation INDYCAR game or a simulation 24-hour Le Mans or a simulation BTCC. I mean, if Codemasters wants to pick it up, let them. If someone else wants to pick it up, let them. Now, I'm just throwing out names. There's been, on Twitter, I see people saying all the time, hopefully EA takes it back. Hopefully 2K takes it back. Well, 2K is making a Lego game that has microtransactions, okay? They're making a family Lego racing game that has a bunch of microtransactions, which is why I'm not really that eager for 2K or for EA to make a racing game because I already know what they're going to do. They're going to just try to scam you out of more money. However, at this point, at least they would make a game. And I would be smart enough not to fall into that trap of letting them scam me with microtransactions for more money. I wouldn't do that. But at least they'd make a game. At least they would make a game. That's my point here. My biggest issue out of all this now is that if there's not going to be an INDYCAR game for Motorsport Games, if there's not going to be a NASCAR game for Motorsport Games, if eventually those games will ever be made and funding will happen, cool. But let other people make the games because this is getting too long. I'm becoming extremely frustrated. Extremely frustrated. And I'll be honest, I'm talking from a selfish point of view. It's very obvious I want new content for the channel. New content equals new games. We all want new games. I will happily spend my money to buy the new game so I can make content for you guys. But there's not even a new game for 2 to 3 years running. At this point, what content do I have? This is not normal. This is not normal. I don't care if they want to make the game. If they want to make the game, make the game. But the exclusive licensing contracts have to stop. The fact that INDYCAR got booted off iRacing, and now iRacing can't do their INDYCAR official series, and no one can do anything INDYCAR, and no one can do anything NASCAR except for iRacing, obviously, and no one can do anything 24-hour Le Mans. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it because there's no game coming out. If you have the exclusive licensing agreement and you made the game, fine. I get it. You pay a premium to make sure no one else does it. It's a part of gaming, AAA gaming, that I don't like, but it happens. But they're making the game. Madden, as crap as Madden is every year, I haven't bought Madden in probably 6 to 7 years. I don't remember the last time I bought Madden. Madden is crap every single year. But at the bare minimum, EA Sports is actually releasing the game every year. 2K, ever since the basketball games, since, I don't know, like 2K11, 12, 13, 14, 15, ever since then, from 16 on, they loaded it with casinos and microtransactions and a bunch of crap. And it's not good. And it's annoying because no one else can make a basketball game. Well, mainly because EA kind of sucked with NBA Live and never happened. But 2K has a monopoly on the basketball games. But at least they put a game out every year. They can throw casinos at me. They could throw microtransactions at me. But at least they come out with the damn game every year. And whether you like it or you hate it, it's there. F1 with EA Sports now. F1 22 has furniture in the freaking game. I mean, freaking furniture in the game. They want you to pay for furniture. Even with F1 and EA Sports, at least they're releasing the game. And Codemasters has already put a base, like a product on it. They're just kind of building on it. I don't know how much they can build on it now because EA, I know, are going to have their whole say in it. But at least they're making a game. They can't... The proof is here. They can't make a game. They can't... I mean, whatever the excuse is, not having enough employees, not having enough funding, not having enough whatever, they can't make a game. So let other people make the games. It doesn't matter who. Just let go of the licensing agreement. Now, I know that's very complicated because INDYCAR, NASCAR, all these guys want licensing agreements because they get upfront payments. They don't care about the sales of the game. They don't care about the recognition. They don't care about the marketing that video games could provide to young people, to young adults as well. They don't care about that kind of stuff. They just care about, oh, you want to pay for our licensing to make video games. Well, give us this amount of money up front, yearly payments, blah, 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 and you can do it. That's all they care about. And that's why we're in this position. So honestly, it's not just motorsport games. It's also NASCAR and INDYCAR's fault. It's also their fault because NASCAR has come out and said, oh, the relationship is fine. It's all good, whatever. NASCAR wants the licensing money. So they won't back out of the licensing deal because the paycheck is still coming through. As long as the paycheck is coming through, that's all they care about. They don't care about a console NASCAR game because they just don't. Their market, whoever is in charge of that area, they obviously have a very good relationship with iRacing and they're doing stuff over there, but they don't care about console gaming. They don't. And same goes with INDYCAR. They just got that paycheck from Motorsport Games to get the licensing agreement. They are not going to want to rip that up because then the paycheck stops coming in, but then all these other people can make the game, but there's no exclusive licensing agreement, so the payment doesn't come into INDYCAR. So they just want the money too. That's all that is. So it's two parts. Motorsport Games has to release a licensing agreement. NASCAR, INDYCAR, 24-hour Le Mans, all these people have to agree to stop taking the damn paycheck and let other people make the games. And next thing you know, you get, in a weird way, you might not get the paychecks, but you get a higher level of advertising, marketing, new fans, because there could be multiple games. And developers will want to go into that because they don't have to pay for the exclusive licensing agreement. They just got to pay for the normal licensing, but it doesn't have to be exclusive, so it's not going to be at a premium. I mean, that's where I'm at now. That's where I'm at. Because this is starting to get very tedious and very annoying without the games. And again, if Dimitri, if he's being honest and it's he wants to make it a higher standard so it has proper momentum and it's going to be a long run investment, fine, make whatever games you want. But this is going too far in terms of what INDYCAR was signed in 2021, NASCAR was signed in 2019 or 2020 whenever they took over 704 Games. We are in 2023. Like, we're almost to the halfway point of the licensing contracts and there's been one game. One. That's not acceptable. That's the biggest issue I have out of all of this. I don't care about net loss, revenue, expenses, funding. Just if you can't make the game, let someone else make the game. At that point, that's all I care about. Now, let's get to the next point. This year, we plan to bring 2023 season updates to our NASCAR game. The update for NASCAR Heat still has not come out. The 2022 season update for NASCAR 21 Ignition made the game worse. The AI are worse. The next-gen car, to be fair, the next-gen car drives fine, but the AI are worse. The gameplay is worse. There wasn't even a career mode for the 2022 season update. PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Nintendo Switch, and mobile. Nintendo Switch. It'll just be NASCAR Rivals 3.0, whatever the heck it's called. No one's excited for that. No one cares. Nobody cares. Who cares at this point? The NASCAR community deserves a great gaming experience. We understand we did not meet anywhere close to our own expectations with the Ignition release, hence why we continue to sell our previous year's titles and we want to continue to update content around our portfolio there. But as far as taking a decision to launch a game, that is a dedicated and exciting experience for the NASCAR. That is a dedicated and exciting experience for the NASCAR and other communities. We're going to hold off on making official announcements on those release dates until we feel absolutely confident and probably with some insight for the community or stakeholders that the game is starting to take shape that would impress the rest of the community. That game is nowhere near close. Because that INDYCAR game is going to be the base for everything, and then that INDYCAR game, the base of that, is going to be the base for 24-hour Le Mans. It's going to be the base of the NASCAR game. It's going to be the base of the BTCC game. That's what it's going to be. So if that INDYCAR game ever does come out, NASCAR is going to be literally identical to it. I'm talking UI, physics. Physics will probably be different because it's a different car. But UI, online, features, all that stuff would be identical to the INDYCAR game because I don't think they have enough employees to tackle the projects they have. It's very clear they don't have enough employees. Probably everyone for them that they have is working on the INDYCAR game, and nobody right now is working on the NASCAR game. It's just that simple. They don't have enough employees. How are you going to hire more employees when you're at a net loss of, what was it? Net loss of 4.8 million, 7 million before that in the previous year. You're making revenues of only 2.3 million. You're not going to release any new content, so how are you going to make more money? There's no microtransactions in your game, so it's just business. It's not going to happen. So yeah, really, really, really frustrating. Out of all that, the Miami headquartered developer has also announced the appointment of a CFO, Jason Parter, following the appointment of a new board, remaining and securing 11.32 million. I think this guy, let me just double check who he is. No, that's not who I thought he is. They hired one of the former Codemasters. I don't know if it was CEO or CFO or vice president or someone of really high standards at Codemasters. They hired them to be a consultant for Motorsport Games to try to help with the development of the games. What do you think? Well, what do you think about all this? Are you on my boat where at this point, I don't care what they do as long as other people could do the same thing? And I feel the same way with Madden. Like, EA could make a football game. I'm very excited for EA's golf game. I don't like EA as a company. I'm very excited for the golf game. I'm waiting for 2 weeks. It comes out, I think, April 4th for Deluxe Edition. I am very excited for that golf game. Why? They have competition. They have to go head up against 2K. And they know they have to provide a good game to get people to want to play it. Madden doesn't have that. They have exclusive licensing forever. So Madden's going to be trash every single year. But at the bare minimum, at least EA are releasing a trash game. I mean, this is the state of gaming at the moment. I mean, we're literally asking for a trash game, but at least it's freaking releasing. Madden 24, whatever it's going to be called, that's going to be trash as well. It's going to be the same trash that's been trash for the last 10 years. But at least they're releasing a freaking game. Motorsport Games can't release a game. And again, the biggest doubt with them is that EA is not going to go bankrupt. EA has a ton of money. They just pile in money over and over and over again because of their very dodgy business deals and business dealings and transactions and microtransactions and all that crap. Motorsport Games is losing money. Like, how can we know that Motorsport Games is going to exist 6 months from now, from 12 months from now, from 18 months from now, when even on their own earnings calls they're saying that they likely will need additional funding on top of the 11 million they just got and all this nonsense. I don't like talking financial stuff and investment and stuff. It's not what I care about. I care about a good game. This is getting really, 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 really frustrating. What do you guys think in the comments down below? Are you with me on my opinions? Do you have a different opinion? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Really disappointing for a lot of INDYCAR fans. I know I'm not really an INDYCAR fan, but I was excited for the game. And for a lot of people, I'm sorry that they can't release an INDYCAR game to you guys. So, I don't know. Every time I make a Motorsport Games video, I'm expecting bad news. So next time I see you guys when I'm talking about Motorsport Games, I'm expecting it to be bad news. If it's actually good news, I will be genuinely shocked. So, yeah, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I will see you guys tomorrow for the race review. Peace out.